Hi boys and girls, my name is Miss Barbara and I'm going to read a story to you today called Caps for Sale. Now I have this monkey hat on my head and I don't know, there might be some monkeys in this story, we'll see. But for now I'd like to talk about this fellow right here. He's called a peddler and peddlers sell caps. And now I will put the cap on my head to show you. This is what the peddler sells, caps. And now we can begin the story. Once there was a peddler who sold caps, but he was not like an ordinary peddler carrying his wares on his back. He carried them on top of his head. First he had his own checked cap, then a bunch of gray caps, brown caps, blue caps, and on the very top some red caps. So he kind of had them stacked like this. But that's too many hats for me to wear, so I'm just going to wear the one. Now let's see if we can show the peddler with his cap stacked just the way we said. Here is the peddler, and here is his checked cap. We'll put that on his head first. Now maybe you can help me count these caps. First he had some gray caps. Let's count them. 1, 2, 3, and 4. Then what came next? The brown caps. Let's count these ones. 1, 2, 3, and 4. Then next he had some blue caps. 1, 2, 3, and 4. And on the very top he had his red caps. 1, 2, 3, and 4. His own checked cap, 4 gray caps, 4 brown caps, 4 blue caps, and on the very top 4 red caps, all stacked just like in the picture. Does it look the same? Yes, it does. He walked up and down the streets, holding himself very straight as not to upset his caps. And as he went along, he called out, "Caps! Caps for sale! 50 cents a cap!" One morning, he couldn't sell any caps. He walked up the street and he walked down the street, calling out, "Caps! Caps for sale! 50 cents a cap!" But nobody wanted any caps. Nobody even wanted a red cap. He began to feel very hungry, but he had no money for his lunch. "I think I'll go for a walk in the country," he said, and he walked out of the town slowly, as not to upset his caps. He walked for a very long time until he came to a big tree. Put the tree right there. "That's a nice place for a rest," he thought, and he sat down very slowly under the tree and leaned back little by little against the tree trunk so as not to disturb the caps on his head. Then he put his hand up on his cap to feel if all the caps were nice and straight. First his own checked cap, then the gray caps, then the brown caps, then the blue caps, And then at the very top, his red caps, just like that. They were all there, so he went to sleep. He slept for a very long time. Uh-oh, but do you see something on this page? Look, some of his caps are missing. He only has his checked cap. I wonder if he noticed. Well, let's take these caps off and find out what happens next in the story. When he woke up, he was refreshed and rested. But before standing up, he felt with his hand to make sure the caps were in the right place. All he felt was his own checked cap. He looked to the right of him. No caps. He looked to the left of him. No caps. He looked behind him. Uh-oh, no caps. He looked behind the tree, but there were no caps. Then he looked up into the tree, and what do you think he saw? On every branch sat a monkey. On every monkey was a gray or a brown or a blue or a red cap. Oh boy, I think at this point in the story, children, it's time to put up the monkeys. Let's count them. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. That's a lot of monkeys. And they each had a cap on their head. So let's start with the gray ones. We'll give some of the monkeys the gray caps. 1, 2, 3, 4. And then the brown caps. 1, 2, 3, 4. And then the blue caps. 1, 2, 3, 4. And some red caps. 1, 2, 3, 4. There, each of the monkeys have caps on their heads, just like the monkeys in the story. The peddler looked up at the monkeys. The monkeys looked at the peddler. He didn't know what to do. Finally, he spoke to them. "You monkeys, you," shaking his finger at them. "You give me back my caps." But the monkeys only looked back at the peddler, and they shook their fingers back at him and said, talking just like monkeys. This made the peddler even more angry, so he shook both his hands like this, and he said, "You monkeys, you give me back my caps." But the monkeys, they only looked back at the peddler and said, acting just like monkeys. Now he felt quite angry. He stamped his foot. He said, "You monkeys, you better give me back my caps." But the monkeys only stamped their feet back at him and said, By this time, the peddler was really very, very angry. He stamped both his feet and shouted, "You monkeys, you must give me back my caps." But the monkeys only stamped their feet back at him and said, At last, he became so angry that he pulled off his own cap and he threw it to the ground, and he began to walk away. But then, each monkey did the same thing the peddler did. They took their caps off their heads and threw them down to the ground, just like this. All at once, all the hats started coming down, one by one. Yep. All the gray caps, the brown caps, the blue caps, and all the red caps, they all came flying down out of the tree. And guess what? The monkeys took off too. So let's take the monkeys off. Say bye-bye, monkeys. See you later, monkeys. Don't come back. No more monkey business. Bye-bye. So the peddler picked all the caps up off the ground. First, the gray caps. Then, the brown caps. Then all of the blue caps. And all of the red caps. He organized them and stacked them neatly. And then, what do you think he did? He put them all back on his head. First, his own checked cap was on his head, but then he added the other caps. He put on the gray caps, the brown caps, the blue caps, and the red caps. So, first, he put all of his gray caps, then all of his brown caps, then all the blue caps, and lastly, he put all of the red caps at the very top. And there they are again. And slowly, slowly, he walked back into the town calling, "Caps! Caps for sale! 50 cents a cap!" Well, that's the end of my story. I have this gorilla puppet here. Her name is Frederica. She's not a monkey, but I'll ask her, what do you think of the story, Frederica? That was great, but I like gorilla stories the best, but I like monkey stories too. Thanks for listening. Well, thank you, Frederica. And I have also this little monkey friend who lives in the cone. And I'll ask you, what did you think of this story? That was really fantastic. I love monkey stories. Oh yeah, it's the best. And I hope you can read some stories again sometime. Well, see you later, boys and girls, and thanks for listening.